Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Candrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are
the Yerky Boys.
Well, you know what time it is. It's that time again.
Uh-huh.
It's fanfiction time.
Wow.
Are you excited?
Oh, it's in my top 5 favorite times.
Behind all the other types of episodes we do.
Well, it's right up there with Miller time.
You got any others?
Central time.
What the fuck? Nobody likes Central Time. Are you kidding?
That's why I like it, because it's,
Ugh.
I like to be different.
Ugh. Oh,
Don't forget about damn it. I didn't have another funny one.
I didn't.
I went one too far.
You're wasting time now is what you're doing.
Oh, well, I can't do that because we do. I mean, before we get into today's show, which is going to be about fan fiction, I guess we could do a small bit of sharing.
I suppose. I actually do have something that I feel like...
Do you want to share something?
Important business for the show.
Yeah.
You know, I never really wanted this show to be political.
Okay.
But I feel like we do have to mention this because it is relevant.
Yeah.
So if you live in the United States, you do know that Trump has picked J.D. Vance as his vice presidential nominee. And there are allegations going around with regards to dolphin fucking. And, you know, if you're a longtime listener of the show, you know that dolphin fucking is very near and dear to my heart. And I just want to say that there is absolutely zero evidence whatsoever, nor any reason to believe that J.D. Vance has ever fucked a dolphin, right? The most that you could intuit from the evidence is that perhaps he is into dolphin bestiality porn. But, you know, I think that if you are out there making posts that imply that he is somehow in the pantheon of dolphin fuckers, you are doing a disservice to dolphin fuckers and the enthusiasts who love them everywhere. So, you know, like I said, I didn't want to get into it, but it is important that we take a stance on this issue, and I've said my piece, I suppose.
To be clear, your enthusiasm is not for fucking dolphins, but for the dolphin fuckers themselves.
Yes. Yeah, I personally am a huge fan of dolphin fuckers.
and just the general
idea, yes.
Yes. This is just dating the podcast so much.
Listen, I had to get it out. I don't keep
know
it inside me.
In 1 week, I'm not sure if anyone will get the reference that you're making. Because of how quickly the news cycle moves. Like, this is
very... Listen, I'm not talking about the other stuff. None of that's relevant, but this is very relevant to this podcast in particular. So, if this is your first episode, maybe go back and listen to a couple others and you'll figure it out.
I mean, this probably will be our last presidential election. So, maybe this one will be in the history books.
I mean, we'll see.
Are you happy? Are you proud? Do you feel good about that?
I feel really good about that, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's no way to move on other than to just move on.
Yeah, I mean, I just needed to get that off, and now we can go to the sharing, and then we can do... I don't know, it's just regular show business. There's nothing weird about it. We just move on.
This is what happens when we don't have a strict schedule to keep. We go off the rails.
I don't agree with that.
We've got a sharing to do. We have an email here. Can I get the jingle?
The sharing.
Okay. Look, I don't really want to read this email. But it's fine because this is a fan fiction episode. No one really listens to these ones. So it's fine. I'll just dump this one in the trash. It's like releasing a shitty movie in January. It's just whatever. You got to get it out there. Try to get get away with the least damage possible.
Mm-hmm.
This email comes to us from Steven.
Hi, Steven.
He's back.
He's back.
Subject line of this email is fake Resident Evil fan.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be honest, I don't know if this email is referring to a Patreon episode that we did. I don't. It's one of the last 2 episodes we did with K.A. Applegate. Well, and I don't know which one. So I'm sorry if this is like referencing something that was only on the Patreon. I'm reading it here on the main feed.
Yeah, well, this will be your incentive to go follow us at patreon.com/theyerkyboys. You can find out what the hell these emails are about, and you can also, I don't know, get more of the content you know and love.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Good. Stephen writes, "Hi, Yerky boys. I was willing to overlook Jonathan saying that the Verdugo was beaten by nitroglycerin rather than liquid nitrogen back in book 25, The Extreme. But after today's mistake, I can't stay silent anymore. The, quote, large Rasputin type in Resident Evil 4 is not Sadler, but Bitores Mendez. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Sadler is the leader of the villains and the final boss, while Mendez is only the boss of the first area. Boy, I really hope someone got fired for that blunder. Steven." First thing I gotta say here.
Mm-hmm.
He says I was willing to overlook when I said about that I made a mistake about nitroglycerin versus liquid nitrogen. I don't know about you, but my definition of willing to overlook is not wrote an email to us about it that we read on the show. That kind of seems like you looked. I don't think you underlooked.
Well, he
looking occurred.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say anything about it, I guess. In book
but
25.
But he did. He did say. Yes, we talked about this on the air.
Oh, did we?
Yes, he corrected it. We had this conversation.
Well, listen. It's been looked at twice now. That's in some sense it's even overlooked because he looked over it again.
Sure. Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Second, I don't even know when I said this. Do you have any memory of me talking about Resident Evil 4 in the past week?
You probably did. I think you did.
When did this come up? I don't even remember this at all. What, I said the name Sadler? Did I say that? I don't even know what he's talking about.
Well, if listeners feel like correcting you because they remember, they could write in, couldn't they? Just like Steven, and give you more of a hard time about it.
Unless he says today's mistake. It was 3 days ago. I'm assuming it's a recent episode. He's not referring to something I said 4 months ago. I don't know. I don't fucking remember. It came in last Thursday, so it could have been the Patreon episode. Patreon. I guess. I don't know what read this on the Patreon. He's talking about. I didn't realize because he doesn't specify when this happened. He just said today's mistake. I didn't know what that meant.
Well, you could have looked. I mean,
I need context.
You just told me the date, so you.
But I don't know.
Done that ahead of time, and then you would have known.
Most people aren't listening to a podcast the day it's released.
No. What day it was, but however you do you, I suppose.
I'm just saying.
Do you agree with the assessment that you're a fake Resident Evil fan?
I don't even. I'm not a diehard Resident Evil fan. I like it. I've played many of the games. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've retained the storylines or the character names. Because it's all fucking stupid.
I want to be the guy over here, like top 3 Resident Evil games, except I don't know shit about it, so I wouldn't actually be able
Resident Evil, it'd be Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil remake, and Resident Evil 2. I mean, those are pretty fucking basic ass answers.
Okay, I'm expecting emails about this now.
I haven't played the remakes, and I haven't played 7, so I haven't played all of them. I'm not like a fucking. I told you, I'm not a hardcore fan. I've never claimed this isn't a Resident Evil podcast. I'm not out here saying I'm an expert on Resident Evil.
Well, apparently you keep bringing it up and making mistakes. So
I don't even remember this.
It just seems like maybe if you don't know what you're talking about,
gaslit. I don't think I ever even said this. I think he's just making this up.
That's the April Fool's order for everyone. Just write in and gaslight us next year.
Like, I don't even. I mean, I can tell you right now, I don't remember the name Bitores Mendez. Whatever. I don't. When did I?
Kind of sounds like you're a fake fan.
I don't think I said Sadler. I don't think I said that name. I just don't believe that I said it. I believe I might have compared someone or something to a Rasputin type.
I don't know. I feel like you did say something about Resident Evil, but I wouldn't have been listening very closely, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, Stephen, do not write in and clarify. I don't care. That's the end of this conversation.
Other listeners, if you feel the need to shed some light on the situation, you can feel free to write us at theyerkyboys@gmail.com.
And if this occurred on the Patreon, then again, you will have to go check out the patreon.com/theyerkyboys.
Yes, if you listened to this entire segment and you are not subscribed to the Patreon and you don't remember this, it is your obligation to subscribe and find it.
All right. I think we can start the show now. Now that I'm angry and tired.
That's good. That's a good place to be.
Yeah, we're doing a fan fiction episode. This is where we select some Animorphs fanfics from the illustrious fanfiction.net. We have a special theme this week. We're going to be going back and forth, kind of summarizing and sharing some of our favorites that we've found. All of these are in some way related to the Ellimist or Crayak or both. Since we just finished the Ellimist Chronicles, that's kind of the kick we're on right now.
Yeah, it's shocking that we still can come up with more themes for these.
I mean, it's never ending. There's so many fanfics out there.
Yeah, but how many themes?
Oh, dozens of them. I didn't struggle to come up with this one. I've got hundreds in the bank.
Well, that's good to know. I'm glad the listeners can rest assured that, we will have decades worth of fan fiction content, even after regular content has long since dried up.
That's right. So I guess I should start because I have one more than you.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
That makes sense.
Right and just and good.
I said this to you before we started the show, but I don't know that all of mine are that. Some of mine are kind of crappy. I tried to save the good ones for the end, the middle ones. I just don't know if they're that interesting to talk about. We're going to find out.
Okay. Yeah, I reasonably liked all of mine. I found a couple, the stupid Spork of Doom things.
Sure, of course.
I had a couple of those, and I wanted to do some silly ones, but they were all either like, okay, this is exactly like something I've seen before, or they were like, oh, this is fun. The Ellimist and Crayak go to a baseball game, haha. Except, hold on, it's 9,000 words. And I was like, no. What are we doing here? This is like almost half an Animorphs book. I'm not doing this.
Oh, yeah, I wanted that one. What the fuck?
That one. I was not about to do that one. I think there were great. 2 of those.
Well,
I'm sure I could find them again.
A couple of mine are longer. Most of them are on the shorter to medium length side. I also will be starting with a silly one, so
Okay, good.
You can look forward to that.
That's good. I'll let you give me my silly fix.
It is getting tricky for this one, we should say, trying to avoid any fics with spoilers in them.
Mm-hmm.
Because now when you're talking about Ellimist and Crayak, I just feel like that's kind of people tend to write things that may or may not be spoilery for books that we haven't read yet. But so for me, I stuck to earlier published fics to be safer. So you had a broader selection, maybe you found better ones because of that.
I did have that is partially true, but I did find that a huge percentage of mine had spoilers. Like, if you just were, like, looking for Ellimist and Crayak terms, so many of them were, like, piggybacking off the end of the book, or, like, oh, let's rewrite this event that happens at the very end, or, like, let's try to tie back into that. Like, just so much of it was just like, yep, the first opening bit is the end of the book, or something to that extent. So
I wonder what that instinct is. Why does this theme? Maybe it's just because Ellimist Chronicles came so late that by the time people were writing fanfics about it, like, the series was basically over, so that stuff was just in their head.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably part of it. And I guess the fact that the Ellimist, like, inherently ties in with the narrative. So if you want to, like, talk about the ending of the series, which a bunch of people did, that's a good way to do it. And also there's some we'll get into it when we get there, but there's some stuff there that when we get there, you might see why somebody would want to write a fanfic to tie it into Ellimist Crayak stuff.
Yeah, I mean, tease for like 4 months from now or 2 months from now. It's not that far away. But I think our next season's fanfic episode will be like post-series spoiler stuff. And it makes sense that most people would want to write about what happens after the book's end, because that's what you don't have.
Yeah. So I mean, I was kind of thinking, just a little tease here, potential. We'll see if the listeners like it. I was kind of thinking our 2 episodes would be end of series stories and write your own.
I think that's exactly what I thought they would be. So
exciting.
We're gonna have a good time, but not today. Today's gonna suck.
Yeah, today you've got boring, shitty Ellimist Chronicles bullshit. Fuck.
I will begin. Here's my first fanfic.
Yes.
So first, I'll get through the cover page and the dedication. Nah, I'm just kidding.
You're funny.
No, this one, I'm going to start with Doorways 1, The Mission. Now, as far as I know, I don't believe there's a Doorways 2. I don't think they ever wrote more of this, which is kind of a shame. But that's okay. This was written by Canes Venatici. Or maybe it's Canis? Is it Latin or Italian?
It looks
what is that
to me.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's Canes Venatici. Anyway, by the way, we'll have links to all these in the show notes if you want to read along or something. And also I have to remember what the fuck these stories are, so I'm gonna read them and recap them as I go.
I'm looking at Canes now. When you said there's only one of these, you mean only one fic?
Yeah, they only wrote one story. Yeah,
not just like there's no more doorways.
Yeah, I mean that's the relevant truth, but both are true.
I think that's important, just for context. All right, let's hear about this story.
People really wanted that context. So anyway, this takes place, I don't know when, somewhere in Animorphs. The Animorphs are at school, and they open up their locker. Cassie opens up her locker one day, and inside, the Ellimist is in there. However, he's not just the Ellimist. For some reason, he has decided to take on the form of Yoda.
I can see why you picked this one.
So he looks and sounds. They don't ever explain it, by presumably it's some kind of stupid, it's a form you would recognize or something. But they don't say that. She's just like, hey, it's Yoda. So anyway, just to give you a little taste, Marco says, Yoda? Marco, wrong you are, eh? The Ellimist I am. Then he goes on, your help the syndicate of Ellimists needs. I don't know what the fuck that is. Discovered was
Jedi
the
Council.
second Escafil device. Very much needed it is. Vital in the mission are your morphing skills. Yeah, there aren't a lot of... He doesn't do any or yes, which is disappointing.
Yeah, that is disappointing. Did you just pick this fic so that you could read every single one of the Ellimist lines and do your
Maybe.
Yoda impression?
I might. We'll see. Well, then there's a little gag where he does the fear leads to anger leads to hate bit. And then they keep saying feelings, and he keeps being like, oh, that feeling leads to this feeling, and eventually it leads to suffering, and they're like, and he does that like 3 times, and they're like, then they slam the door, and they're like, okay, Ellimist, we're tired of that shit. It's pretty funny.
That is kind of funny.
I mean, I was laughing. It made me laugh. This was published in 1999, by the way.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. This is fresh off of episode 1.
This is topical. That? Yeah, no, this is all anyone could think about was fear leads to anger.
So yeah, fear leads the anger culture was sweeping the nation. So the mission the Ellimist needs them to go on is they have to take a portal to another dimension where a second Escafil device is. So there's a whole business of them finding this portal. It's a wormhole. They go through it. They end up in this place that looks just like their world. So they're like, I don't get it. Everything seems to be the same. And then they turn on the TV. And you know what they see on TV?
What do they see on TV?
Themselves.
Okay.
It's the Animorphs TV show. The idea, I think, is that they come to our world, the real world, where Animorphs is fictional or something. And it seems that the Escafil device they need to get is the one they're using as a prop on the show. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's real for some reason. I don't know. And basically the fic ends up being an excuse for the writer to complain about the TV show.
Well, now. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves on the TV show.
Yeah, not to get ahead of ourselves, but the Animorphs comment on it and say things like, what horrible actors. We don't morph like that. Did they really think Andalites looked like that? What's up with all the unfunny one-liners? Sadly, it says to be continued, and that's where it ends. We never get to that's it. But you can imagine a follow-up in which the Animorphs were to meet their acting counterparts, and that could create for some interesting tension and humor.
Yes, I could imagine how that could create some interesting humor.
But this is more of a, this is like a thought exercise. This leaves you wanting more. It lets you fill in the blanks with your imagination. And that's my first fic. There's a part I liked here where someone says, or Axe is like, we got to watch out. Never underestimate the power of the Ellimist. He knows where you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you are bad or good. Then Jake says, so be good for goodness sake. That's pretty funny.
Mallory here says, it was so bad, I don't know. I think the TV show isn't so bad. I'm starting to think I'm the only one here who thinks that. Oh well.
That's one of the reviews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people think that it was really funny here.
And they're right.
Yeah, this one person says that they're trying too hard and watch too much Star Wars. But for the most part.
I mean, it is very all over the place, this one. Like, it starts off being very silly with this Yoda thing, and then there's the middle portion is all just fairly mundane descriptions of them finding this portal and going through it, and then at the very end, there's more jokes about the TV show, and then that's it.
Well, he didn't finish going through the middle to add all the jokes in.
Yeah, they didn't really. I don't know that they knew necessarily what they were doing here, but anyway. Also, like, another thing about these fanfics I found is sometimes the Ellimists and or Crayak's involvement is like it could be just about them, or a lot of them are just, hey, the Ellimist did some shit, and then they peace out for most of the story. Because that's how the books often are.
That makes sense. Yeah, especially because you have earlier stories, and that's really in line. I feel like in most of mine, I got like deep into just it being about the Ellimist or something.
Yeah, I got a couple of those, but yeah.
I'll like temper your silliness a little bit, I think. That's what I'll be doing.
Sure. I don't know that my other ones are quite as silly as Yoda Ellimist, but imagine if there was a baby Yoda Ellimist.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Baby Yoda Ellimist.
Yeah, he would be
like, goo.
Me want chicky nuggies.
Is that what he'd be like?
And Crayak. Yeah. Okay. How about what do you got?
All right, I'm going to start off on this story called Father.
Cool.
So this is by Bellatrix Black 1997.
Love it.
Who I think, other than this, has only written Harry Potter fanfics. I'd have to check again, but I think that's what it is here. Yeah, in fact, author's note, if you've read my other works, you'll know I'm obsessed with Harry Potter, and I've only ever done fanfiction for that fandom. However, over one summer, I recently read the entire Animorphs series and proceeded to fall in love with it. So there you have it, I suppose.
Cool.
I should also mention this has 2 chapters. Chapter 2 is the disclaimer that Ellimist Chronicles and Animorphs belongs to K.A. Applegate, and this is not, like, these aren't her original characters because she forgot it in chapter 1.
I guess does fanfiction.net not let you make edits?
I don't know. Why? We've asked this before, but why does everyone say these aren't my characters? I'm going to get sued if I don't say it.
It is so weird. And especially the one you're talking about, this came out in 2020. So I could understand, like,
That's
if you're
true.
If you're a kid in the late 90s or early 2000s, you just don't know, or you're like, I guess that's what you're supposed to do because other people do it. But at this point, this decade, you should know.
I completely forgot about the fact that I took like recent ones. And now I'm realizing that Bellatrix Black 1997 was probably born in 1997.
Oh yeah. That was my assumption.
Yeah, goddamn, and not like made her account. Oh my god,
that makes her a Zoomer.
Also makes her a transphobe. If you're into Harry Potter in the 2020s, right? Is one thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm just letting everybody know where we stand.
Yeah.
So this
Harry Potter fan fiction.
That'll be our crossover, specifically Harry Potter and Animorphs. So this story is about Father from the Ellimist Chronicles.
Right, that father.
Yeah, that father, and it's
not
a story
Father
about Father's like origin from Father's perspective.
Ooh,
so like we
your
start
favorite.
Yeah, my favorite. It's a little bit less high concept abstract than K.A. Applegate did it, I think. But like it's the same idea, right? So like you start off with like Father's just like some weeds. She makes up some like moon fish people, sentient species. She describes them as having gills and fins but no limbs, and it seems like Father first acquires like a consciousness when he absorbs the fish people, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and as he becomes like this being, some other aliens start crashing, he starts to incorporate more and more different aliens into him. Now, one of the things that she says here, she says that Father intentionally avoids absorbing traumatized people, right? Because Father doesn't want to be sad, right? Um, so okay, so
Same.
this is around the point where he starts learning from people's memories that it's possible to be lonely, and that's how Father starts being lonely and wants a companion, right? Because he's like, oh shit, I'm lonely now because I found out you could be. So he decides that he's like, I'm gonna keep one companion alive, and that'll be my friend, so I won't be lonely. So the first person he considers taking is Aguela, right? Right when they crash, he sees Aguela's brain and he's like, oh shit, a gamer! I want to game with this gamer girl, right? And he almost spares her, but then he grabs Tumen too, and he's like, Aguela's a little bit too ruthless, right? Like, Tumen's more of a pacifist, and I wouldn't have to, like, be afraid that he would do anything to me, so he lets Aguela die. And at this point, I like that this is a backstory for Father, from Father's perspective, and we have caught up to the Ellimist Chronicles at the halfway point here.
I was gonna ask, like, you said he learned about loneliness. Does that mean that didn't happen in this story until like a week before the Ellimist Chronicles happened?
Well, you're going to love the next part here, which is that he made up the name Father on the spot. Before Tumen, he'd never needed a name before.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
It kind of does. It's his game name, is what it is.
Yeah, Fat Her.
Yeah. Well, he becomes, so now we see the Ellimist Chronicles story from Father's perspective, right? And like he starts off with this rivalry, but then he quickly like it turns into like a friendship thing. He has this whole thing where he's like, I wanted Ellimist to love me, but I loved him instead, right? She kind of changes the way the music works. Like, instead of Father being soulless or whatever, and being unable to really get it, she has Father loves music. And he's even like, if I could have had music, I wouldn't have needed a companion. But remember earlier I said Father didn't take any traumatized people because he didn't want to be sad, right? Right? So that's why Father can't sing the Azures, you see.
Oh, wow.
It was important the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But then after the whole thing happens and Ellimist starts beating him, he decides to look into Ellimist's head and learn about actual trauma. And there's like a scene where he goes and turns into Menno and sits on an island and cries and stuff. It's very angsty. It's good. And then at the very end, he like lets Tumen take half of him because he wants Tumen to be his equal. And it ends on this bit where he's like, Tumen, my son, more of a son to me than I ever was a father.
Damn. Wow, he loves Tumen.
He loves Tumen. Yeah, he does. It feels like this story was a lot less interested in this like very strange alien brain sponge high concept shit, and was a lot more interested in like, what if I like actually did like a Father allegory with him because he's called Father. He feels a little bit more normal in this.
Well, you don't get to see his perspective really, so maybe he is normal.
Yeah, maybe he is. We don't know in the books.
Maybe
that's why it's
normal.
such a twist.
Did this make you really feel like you were able to connect to Father and understand his perspective better?
I don't know.
In your dream scenario of the Father Tumen film, would you incorporate some of this content into that adaptation?
I think I would go in a totally different direction.
Oh, interesting.
I would move away from like the familiarity of Father as a persona.
The fuck does that even mean?
No. Well, I mean, like in this we're like trying to humanize Father, and Father, like I would move out into this more abstract, high concept bullshit thing.
Now this is the Smallville
Mm.
take where it's like, that crazy villain. Well, what if he had a origin story and he used to be nice?
Except this time he was secretly always nice.
Yeah. Ooh, what if there was a prequel like Baby Visser 3 and he's like a little Anakin and he's a good guy? What am I doing? Okay, I don't know. I'm off track.
You're just what you wanted. I know what one of your fan fictions is going to be. It's just going to be episode 1.
We already. What was that? Didn't we find that, or that was something else?
I feel like we found that like 3 times.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, pretty good. Father. That's nice that someone, that Father got his own fanfic.
Yeah, it's good. People are pretty creative. There's a lot of weird bullshit in the Ellimist bullshit, and people are creative with it.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, why don't I do? Maybe I'll do another kind of a bad one.
A bad one, huh?
Yeah, this one's last time I think it's fitting since my first one that I did had a Yoda in it that my next one should be the child.
I suppose that's fitting.
Yeah, because of course, the child,
right?
Grogu,
right?
Grogu, of course, the Animorph who died in Ellimist Chronicles,
right? Of course.
Anyway, the child was written by Maren Chang. She sounds like a real name and not a stupid internet name. They've written a bunch of fics for Animorphs and bunch of other anime and other crap on here.
Ew.
I know, right? Well, some of it's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, this looks pretty much just like a thing.
Anyway, the child is confusing. This is a weird story. It says, note, this is a pre-Animorphs Tobias story, as in he's not in Animorphs now. This is the past.
Okay.
Which is the clunkiest way of saying this takes place before the Animorphs books start. Like, I don't know why they had to stay in that way, but whatever. So the story is about Tobias. He's living with his uncle. It's you're seeing him as a human, as a kid, having a shitty life. And there's a lot of the first part of it is just him being abused by his uncle. His uncle, like, he talks about how he kicks him and shoves his head against the wall. It's it's a bit of a darker, edgier take on we don't get quite this level of violence in the Tobias story. But anyway, that happens. He's got to get out of there. We also learned something very important, which is that Tobias has a teddy bear named Moose.
Oh, that is important.
Which definitely is just a thing from the author's real life, as it says, after reading The Giver in school, I had started to call it my comfort object. Like, they did not invent that.
That's definitely the author's teddy bear.
No question. There's he references it a lot. Tobias is just hanging on to Moose the whole story and talking about him and hugging him when he feels bad. It's kind of cute, I guess.
Why didn't Tobias turn into a moose and get stuck as a moose?
Man, has anyone ever done a moose morph?
I don't think anybody has.
Fuck. I want a fucking moose, so I'm gonna be so mad if they don't do that in the last 7 books or whatever. Anyway, Tobias ends up running into some unknown creature, which I think is Crayak, and teleports him into some kind of dungeon. Where he's in this dank dungeon in a cell in which he notes, I didn't even have Moose. So he's really upset. This is where, at least when his uncle's beating him, he has Moose to go back to.
Right. Oh, to go back to, not like he's holding Moose while his uncle is beating him.
Yeah, he doesn't want Moose to see that.
Yeah, it feels like that would be like, I don't know. If I was his uncle, and if I was an uncle and I was beating my nephew and they were holding on to some teddy bear, I don't know. I feel like that would just encourage me to beat them harder. Personally.
Right.
Like if. Like as a hypothetical.
I get that.
Right.
To cut to the chase here, the Crayak then is explaining to him what he is and what the Ellimist is, because of course this Tobias doesn't know that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And also, multiple times they refer to Crayak as the Crayak, which I find strange.
Yeah, I feel like they sometimes did that in the books. And
maybe
by sometimes
in 26?
Like once or twice. Yeah, maybe in 26 or something.
Which, assuming this is pre-Ellimist Chronicles, that would have been the only real... That would have been your biggest Crayak book.
Yeah,
I mean that's still the only one, really, besides Ellimist Chronicles.
Similar to, like, the Ellimist, too, I guess.
Right. So I guess you could make that assumption. I don't know. But this is where it gets confusing and weird, and I don't know. Maybe this is somehow end of book spoilers, but I don't think it is. That's the other thing with a lot of these fanfics is I'm like, they just make up so much shit that it's like, did that come from something? I can't tell because every other one is a different contradictory weird thing.
But you did, the publish date we did make sure was earlier than the
we
end.
did.
So
we did.
So
but I don't know how fucking, I don't know if maybe fanfiction.net's shit is wrong. I don't know. But anyway, it turns, according to this fanfic, the real reason Crayak and the Ellimist are fighting with each other, I don't think this is real. But their real war in this story is that Tobias has psychic powers. Crayak says, of all the people on Earth, only one has the psychic powers I'm looking for. I have been combing the earth for so long, from Ezekiel right up to you. No one else is a true psychic. And he calls Tobias the one with a capital O.
Like the Matrix.
He just says your powers haven't been unlocked yet. And then the Ellimist shows up and he's like, no, you cannot take Tobias. He is very important to the space-time continuum. And basically the Crayak is just like, okay, fine, I guess. You can take him, but here's the condition. He can never be happy. And so and then he buries Tobias's powers in his mind so he can't unlock them. And the end of the story is they throw Tobias back and he sees Rachel, and Tobias says, Crayak had ridden me of happiness, but not love. Doesn't really, it kind of doesn't make sense, but
well, I mean, as far as Tobias being the one goes, I won't promise that Neo doesn't show up at the end of the series.
Okay. So we're not, we won't confirm or deny this might be canon. The problem is Animorphs is so ridiculous that I can't even discount anything. Even as insane as this reads, I'm like, I don't know, maybe fucking he turns out to be psychic. I don't know. Maybe they're right. I do have at least one story here too that's like, it feels like there some points around this time people are kind of trying to predict the ending too. It's almost like a projection of how they think things are gonna go, so they're trying to fill in these blanks that they don't quite know yet, which is interesting. Anyway,
so this person thought it was psychic Tobias.
So that was there. It's also just so funny how at the end, like, it's just resolved for no reason. I don't even know what Crayak is going to do with him necessarily. And then the Ellimist is just like, no. And Crayak's like, okay, but make him sad. It's good. You know, this one is good. This one's really good.
Wow, great fic. Tobias is my favorite Animorph. That was well written too, really moving.
That's nice. That's a nice review.
Yeah. I do like...
I like this one from Thunderstone that says, I didn't know that.
I mean, I was thinking, like, what... Unless I've misunderstood you. So Crayak... Ellimist is like, you can't have him, and Crayak is like, fine, whatever, just so long as he's not happy.
That's like
there's
his...
no other...
Yeah, for some reason, that's his bargain. He will agree to.
Because this feels like somebody who likes Tobias the best because he's the angsty character.
Well, isn't that why everyone likes Tobias the best?
Well, but I mean, like very specifically, like very much like, you know, like it doesn't really matter why or in what way he's not happy, right? Like it's like, oh, Crayak wants to do something bad and angsty with him. Oh, the Ellimist saved him, but he's gotta not be happy. He's gotta not be happy.
Well, this is the prequel. That now we know why Tobias isn't happy. Finally, it's explained in the lore.
I see, because before there was just no reason for it.
Yeah, everyone knows that good writing means every single aspect of a character is explicitly explained and created in one incident in time previously.
He should have had a stuffed animal called Bird.
Yes,
why'd he turn into a bird?
I
need a fanfic about that.
I really want to write now the solo of Animorphs. Yeah, it's just I can't even. I don't know. Marco's mom is like, I've always really liked the number 1 for some reason. Whatever, stupid shit.
This is good. No, that has promise. I really like that.
All right, I'll put a pin in that for later.
That's going places right there.
Okay, what's your next? Your turn.
My turn.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I will do Checkmate next. The story is called Checkmate.
Okay.
So this is an Ellimist perspective story. And this is a story in which the Ellimist is looking at, or he's watching as the Pemalites are killed by the Howlers. Right.
So prequel to the series.
Yeah.
Right?
So this would take place like near the end of Ellimist Chronicles. Right.
Right.
And so I guess the perspective of this is that he's like musing to himself, right? I don't know. So we learn in this that Crayak sort of followed the Ellimist's lead as far as making species and all that. I'm not sure that's book accurate, but it's not non-accurate, so whatever, who cares? And so he's got all these bits where he's like, oh, how clever of you to make your Howlers love to play just like my Pemalites did. There's a bit here. I think this is a good example of the writing. He says, ironic to describe you as a parent, my foe. Of course, there are psychotic parents who can kill their children in a fit of frustration. I pray I never fall to that trap. But with company like you, my foe, oh, it is likely. It is likely you will drive me mad enough to turn my position the 108 degrees it would take for us to meet. It is likely.
What the fuck? Where do they get 108 degrees? What is that?
Someone comments on that and they're like, I think you mean 180.
Oh. Oh my god.
Anyway, he does a lot of musing like this. There's he's like sitting around, he's like despairing as he's watching all the Pemalite space-time strands go dark. But then he sees that the cheese strands are continuing on for a long, long time. And he sees this one particular chi that interests him. And I will just tell you, the writer never actually says this is Eric, so you can pretend this isn't Eric if that upsets you.
Okay, sure.
But he sees one particular chi that interests him, and he's like, "Ooh, I can use these chi to set my like long-term trap." And he gives that chi the idea to go to Earth and look for the time matrix to undo everything that happened. Um, and so he sets off the series of events that like creates dogs and makes humans what they are and blah blah blah, and sets up the Animorph series. So this is his like checkmate trap for Crayak. You see?
I see, like chess.
Yeah, like chess, sorta, because it's like a bunch of moves down the line. John, in the Pemalite language, chi means friend. In my Ketran language, it means beginnings. Humorous, don't you think, my foe?
Wow.
Yeah?
That is humorous. Interesting.
Makes you think, huh?
Is that canon that chi means friend?
Yes.
Okay.
The other part is not canon.
Well, you don't know if it's canon. Maybe, I bet if we asked Ka, she might just say, yeah.
Yeah, it's not canon unless we can find her saying it. We'll bring it up. We'll put a pin in that.
That's right. There's nothing in the rule book that says chi can't mean beginnings. Okay. I feel like I had something to say about this, but it's gone now.
How about this person's comment? They say a lot of things, but one of them is, I never thought of Eric as a protector of life before, but now that I am, it's so true. Wow.
Wow.
That's what
deep.
Jinako-chan says.
You didn't say that this is by Kaylee-Ann.
Oh, no, I didn't say this is by Kaylee-Ann.
It's just, it's proper procedure to give credit to the author.
Well, now credit has been given. This is Kaylee-Ann.
K.A., you might call her.
Wait a minute. Stories for Animorphs, Remnants, Rurouni Kenshin, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, Harry Potter, Series of Unfortunate Events, Pride and Prejudice, Digimon, Power Rangers, Chobits, Marmalade Boy, Spiral, and Death Note.
So I'm thinking this is K.A. Applegate under a pseudonym.
I mean, the first two on here are Animorphs and Remnants.
Yeah, so this is pretty obvious that this is K.A. and that's canon. This is like her Richard Bachman era. Or whatever name J.K. Rowling uses to write her shitty books no one likes.
It's some fucking gay conversion therapist is what it is.
It's fine. What I was going to say about it's interesting. The last few stories, it seems like there's, for some reason, a recurring theme of parents and children. We've had like father, literally father. My thing was the child. And now here we have kind of this, as if, Ellimist is like the surrogate parent of the chi or Pemalites. I don't know, not surrogate, I guess. I don't know what the fuck word you want to use, but yeah, I guess.
Really, what he is a deity, but we call our deity father sometimes,
right? Yeah,
or mother.
Right, I call mine daddy. Every night I get on my knees in front of my bed and I say, "Dear Daddy, please let me sleep good tonight."
That joke that's just like the difference between "Forgive me, Father, I have sinned" and "Sorry, Daddy, I've been naughty."
I don't like that you said that, to be honest.
It's a good joke.
I just didn't like it.
It's a good joke, John.
But yeah, there's something about the Ellimist and Crayak that they are by default parental figures in a way, because they are the highest beings that exist that we know of in this world. So yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. You could see them from that perspective. I don't know. I don't know if that will appear in any other of the fanfics, but
yeah, I don't know that that's a huge running theme or anything going forward. But like, I do see that as a potential like major theme of these kinds of fanfics. Because like, also remember, a lot of the people writing these are probably like, I don't know, 11 to 14.
Right.
So
and they have daddy issues.
Yeah, so a number of them probably are like, what's the, like I'm still a kid, so what metaphor am I fucking reading into this? Some kind of potential, some kind of parental thing, and yeah, I don't know. That's one of the characters you could slap that on. Why doesn't anyone write about like what if Cassie's parents were my parents? Like some abused kid just writing like fan fiction where they got to have Walter and Cassie's mom, Naomi? I don't
I
remember.
don't know. Maybe they adopt Tobias.
Hmm.
And then Tobias and Cassie have a thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like they should adopt Jake somehow, or Rachel's parents should, because then you get the whole step sibling thing.
Yeah, I know you would like that.
Well, not me, but someone.
Right,
some people might. I'm just saying, some people might.
It's sort of like dolphin fucking. You're not. You just appreciate the idea of it.
I don't partake per se.
Right. Same. Per se. Right, okay, can I go now?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, my next one. So last time I did The Child. My next one, I'm going to up the ante. It's called Many Children All Live.
Wow, I like that.
Or maybe it's called All Live? I'm not sure.
No, it should be All Live because of the line in Ellimist Chronicles, right?
Oh, then that must be it because I don't remember
children,
the line.
The line's more children, some live.
Oh, okay, great. Perfect. Love that. Of course, I remember that, like every line. I really remember them. This was written by Jiklet.
Ooh, Jiklet. Hi, Jiklet.
Who, by the way, I'm pretty sure of some of my selections for the Patreon episode this week also were written by Jiklet. So, getting some Jiklet going around.
Okay.
You're going to like this one. So it comes from, it takes place in the Ellimist Chronicles lore. It says major spoilers and lots of wishful thinking in the description, but I don't really know, even for Ellimist Chronicles, I can't really figure out what those spoilers might be, but I don't know. Maybe at the time it seemed major if you hadn't read Ellimist Chronicles because it was new.
I mean, if it's about what it looks like, it might be about whatever. I don't know. Just tell me what it's about. I will say I'm fucking loving this first sentence. Well said. Look at this first sentence.
Yes, first sentence. I will read it now for the listeners. My name is Grass. So yes, this takes place from the perspective of one of the Ellimist's children, right? When he became an Andalite. Am I getting? I'm just making sure I'm getting this right.
That sounds right.
Okay, yeah. Unless it's a different Grass. No, I'm pretty sure it's.
There's like 5 names or something. So I don't know, but what was his wife's name? I don't remember.
Tree. Anyway.
Oh yeah, that's right. Actually.
Yeah, I think that is right. Anyway, I mean, it begins. My father had left after mother's death. No one saw him anymore after that. Oh yeah, so that's the Ellimist. I was alone with my older brother, Flower, and my husband, Wind.
Flower's the one who grew up to be the leader of the tribe, I think.
So then Grass and Wind, you find out, had a daughter named Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to have more children. So this is, we're getting to see more of the beginnings of the Andalite world after Ellimist abandons them. That's how I characterize it. It's a little confusing when Grass says they went and looked for grass, but lowercase g. It's like, okay. It's strange because it is written, as I just read, fairly, it sounds normal. It's like how anyone would write something. It doesn't have like a distinct accent or dialect of any kind. But then later on, so Crayak shows up. Crayak's like, hey, Tumen's away. I'm going to play. Let's go. And then when Grass starts talking to Crayak, then Grass all of a sudden sounds like they're doing like a Tarzan thing,
like the way that they talked before.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. Did they talk like this in the book?
Yeah, in the book they only had like simple hand signs, and the Ellimist like characterized it as being like that.
Okay, so maybe this is just how their language is. It doesn't say they're using hand signs. Oh no, it does. Sorry, it actually does.
Well, there you go.
Actually, no, he doesn't. I don't know. It's very confusing. It says Crayak is talking to him, sending the words to Grass one by one as if he were talking with his hands.
So Crayak's like thought speak or something. Crayak's doing the weird like booming voice in your head shit that the Ellimist and Crayak like to do.
Yeah, they have fun with that. Anyway, Crayak says, I've come to take Moon away from you. Moon, Grass's daughter, Tumen's granddaughter. And Grass says, you need not take Moon. Moon well here. I can care for her. Mm-hmm. Crayak's like, well, yeah, I'm taking her because I want her to fear me and suffer. And Grass says, you must not take Moon. and Crayak's like, I don't care. Fuck you. Grass says, I not give Moon. And Crayak's like, okay, well then your parents would have been proud of you. And then he tells her that her father is still alive. So this is news. They don't know what the fuck happened to Tumen. Mm-hmm. Grass is like, father alive? You know him? He well? And yeah, she is speaking with her hands because she says she's moving them so fast she doesn't even know if Crayak could follow them. Mm. And he's like, yeah, he's very powerful. Blah, blah, blah. He's out there and just talking about how incredibly powerful he is. And Grass is like, you evil. I not care.
What about this part up here you skipped where she says, Crayak, you listen me?
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Anyway, Crayak, somehow, it's not really explained. Crayak just comes here to be a dick, and then Grass is just like, no, and Crayak's like, well, okay. Well, once again, Crayak's just like, I guess I'll leave. You've convinced me. And he's like, but in a few years, we'll see. Maybe I'll come back.
Could be a sequel.
Oh, yes. And then Grass talks to Wind and Flower and all this and tells them this story. And I don't know. Then the Grass is just happy now because they know that father is out there and more children will live and many children perhaps will live.
I see. Okay. Yeah, deep. I like the part where Crayak comes in and says, ha ha ha, hop, hop. I like to hop. I like to hop on top of Pop. And
that part's
and
pretty
Grass
good.
says, stop. You must not hop on Pop.
That's right. So, I mean, I like that this story uses these Andalites as characters because that's very different. That's very original. Mm-hmm. It's not much happens in this story, but
this is the great thing about the Ellimist Chronicles is that she puts so much crap in there that just like any idea you want has like some unique thing that nobody has talked about yet in that damn book.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, yeah, you could do a whole fucking series on those Andalites if you wanted to, but you know.
Weird Blondie says, I liked it, and I didn't confused this time either. Yes, I liked the whole first person thing. It was cool.
You mean how every one of the books is written?
The implication here is that Jiklet has written confusing fanfics before.
Yeah, I mean that if your name is Jiklet, you're probably writing confusing fanfics.
Or maybe Weird Blondie is just kind of dumb.
Oh, hey, come on. I don't want to hear any stereotypes about blondes.
It's just a possibility.
Well, sure. Anyone has a chance to be dumb, blonde or otherwise.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it could happen to anyone.
It could be a blonde man for all we know.
That's true.
So then they wouldn't be dumb, probably. I think it's your turn.
You think so, huh?
Yeah, Many Children is over. We learned about Crayak and Moon and Grass. We've tied that bow up. That loose end is now completely taken care of.
All right. Well, then I think I would like to talk about
the fuck just happened. Just drop something?
It's fine. It's all fine. There's no disaster. Nobody's dead.
All right.
Nobody's hurt.
Okay.
It's okay. I would like to talk about the Crayak Chronicles.
Holy fuck.
This is written by Metal K.
Thank you.
They wrote some stuff. Looks like a lot of Doctor Who stuff here.
Great.
They don't look that interesting to me. I don't care about this person.
Me either.
This. Okay. So I'll just give you a little bit of an opener here. My full name is Azure Level 4-Spar Extension 1 Down Messenger 22. My chosen name is Zemfar. I like the sound of the word, which is all the reason you need for a chosen name. My game name is Crayak.
Wow.
So,
wait. So is this a reveal that Crayak is a Ketran?
So it feels like this is just a complete and total rewrite, is what this feels like, because immediately we get the exact same opening scene as in the Ellimist Chronicles, except that in this one, it's Zemfar Crayak who challenges Ellimist, and it is Tumen, the Ellimist, instead of Inidar. Like, instead of Ellimist and Inidar playing a game with the Panga Bands and the Gunja Wave, it's Zemfar and Ellimist playing a game with the Gunja Wave and the Panga Bands. So, and of course, Crayak wins because, of the Gunja Wave.
So, I mean, I gotta be honest. So it sounds like they read the Ellimist Chronicles and said, K.A., you kind of missed an obvious opportunity here to explain these two characters and make it a little more meaningful and impactful that they're rivals, and also not have Crayak just appear and not explain his origin. I mean, to be honest, this sounds like a punch-up to the story.
Yeah, I mean, there's not nothing to that. I'll say that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it gives you the opportunity, as opposed to the when Inidar told Ellimist, "You underestimate the power of sheer aggression." This time, Ellimist says, "You overestimate the power of sheer aggression." Eh?
Cool.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, there's some complaints in the comments that are just like, I don't like that you got rid of Inidar, or like, wouldn't Ellimist remember that Crayak was the guy he used to play games against? Why doesn't he remember that? But that doesn't really seem relevant.
I mean, aren't they just doing it? I assume they get to, maybe they don't get to it in this, but the idea would be that Crayak would replace, he would remember him in this version.
Yeah, presumably he would. Yeah, so this only gets 3 chapters in. It's very clearly not finished. So we never really get off of Ket here, although Ket is also just completely different. It's like evil Ket. They're evil Ketrans in this one.
Okay.
So in this one, we find out in chapter 2 that the Capucins attacked them 8 centuries ago in this one. And the Ketrans forced a bunch of other species to fight for them and won and became a warrior empire. There's a part where he's talking and he's describing, and he says to the reader, "You have obviously heard of the Ketran Empire." There's stuff about how, like, they beat the Generationals and seized all of their stuff as well, blah, blah, blah. So I guess the Ketrans are a warrior empire race here.
Sure.
So anyway, Crayak goes to meet his friend Ladfar for a hunt, which is where they go down to the surface of the planet and they kill as many jammin snakes as they can.
Okay.
And you're like supposed to hunt with like special helmets, but Crayak and Ladfar don't because they're badasses. I don't know.
Cool.
And Ladfar also is a girl.
Whoa. But
she's not a gamer. She only played the game one time. And so she chose the game name Houghton. But what she didn't know, stupid females trying to get in the game. She didn't know that Houghton means cheat in Capucin. Can you believe that?
Wait, this guy used the name. That was his game name, was Houghton?
This girl used Houghton as her. Yeah.
And she's a cheater?
They do say that she's a cheater. She did cheat, but like she didn't know that she was calling herself a cheater because she doesn't know about games very much.
Okay.
We also find out in that section that the Yeerk Empire is in the game, and they're like the most powerful faction in the game.
Whoa. In the game, like they're programmed like a fictional version of them.
Yeah, like there's a fictional programmed. I don't know if they're supposed to be real Yeerks or what the hell that is.
Okay.
But it's it's there. There's also a bit where they're talking in the bar, in like a Ketran bar or something, and they drink gula juice.
Oh, I love that.
Gula juice is pretty good. So in chapter 3, they go out on their hunt. They're like down at the lava river hunting snakes, and Crayak sees that Ladfar is in trouble, and he's like, she looks like she's really hurt, and she's all tangled up in vines, but like, I don't know, I think it might be a trick, because they're both like kind of evil badasses or whatever, and he's like, she's probably just trying to steal my snakes that I killed, and so he's like, he's probably fine, and keeps on going. And that's basically the end of the story here. There's some more stuff in here about like apparently there's like Ketran tracking devices from like Ketran Central Authority or some bullshit, and but like he and Ladfar disabled there so they can pull off heists. I don't really know, but it seems it feels like this was going somewhere. Like he's gonna return maybe, and Ladfar won't be there, and then he'll get in trouble, and something will happen. I don't know, but they didn't get that far.
It is a bit of a missed potential to call something the Crayak Chronicles, and it's just an alternate version of the Ellimist Chronicles, like.
Right, like I was kind of wondering, like, why do this? Like, what was the motivation behind this to do it this way?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably what I said. They're just like, this would be better if that was just Crayak instead of Inadar.
Yeah,
but I mean, the rest of it is weird. I don't know.
Wouldn't be crazy. Yeah, or like Menno is Crayak or something.
Who likes in any of those characters? I can't imagine being like, oh my god, you cut out Menno? Like, who gives a fuck?
This person says, wasn't his friend already named? This really goes against the series.
How dare they?
Yeah. Asmodeus 1389 says, this sounds pretty good, and I like the idea of a story from Crayak's point of view, but I'm not too crazy about changing Inadar/Redfar, it should be Redfar, I think, to Zem for Crayak. Creative, yes, but wouldn't Ellimist recognize the name when he meets Crayak later? I mean, if you have a solution for that, it would work, but otherwise, you might have a hard time explaining that.
God, these are the kind of fucks who write in complaining about mistakes that you made about names of Resident Evil characters.
Wait a second, there's another comment from Asmodeus 1389 made on the same day that says almost the exact same thing. It feels like they posted this comment and thought it got deleted and posted it again, but worded slightly different.
It happens sometimes.
I get it.
Yeah, that's how the internet goes.
Guest says, is this rally about Crayak?
Oh, God. God bless Crayak.
Gotta love Crayak.
Applegate.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Applegate. Yeah. I want a real Crayak. Someone must have written an actual, like, their take on what his backstory is. That must exist.
That must be out there somewhere. I've got some that are close, but not quite there.
All right. Okay, shall I proceed?
Yeah, proceed. Give me another one. We got plenty more.
This one might be a quick one. This is not that interesting, but I mostly wanted to highlight it because I like... It is called The Return. But I'm 90% sure it came out before The Return. Yeah, this was published in July 2000.
It did, yeah, okay. So it did come out before The Return, but it might just be the story of The Return. We'll see.
In fact, it says this is like the 5th rewrite of this story. I first started writing it after I read the Andalite Chronicles in June 1998. The story will not make sense. Yeah, they predicted that. I mean, that's the thing when everything is the something. There aren't that many options. You're probably going to hit one eventually if you keep trying. Anyway, so this is the Return prologue by Silver Phoenix. They never wrote any other parts of it. There's only a prologue. So this is all you're going to get. If you have feedback, by the way, you can send it to elfangors_girl@hotmail.com.
That's a
Oh my god, I wish I had that email. elfangorsgirl@hotmail.com.
Elfangor's boy is probably still open.
Ooh, not for long. Okay, so the idea of this story is it takes place in the first book, but you're seeing it from the Ellimist's perspective. The reason I know this is an earlier fanfic is because they give the Ellimist a name that is not Tumen. The reason what I thought was interesting about the story was like I was saying earlier, how this person kind of made up what they thought the series maybe would be without knowing. And in their case, they named him Deminin. Deminin.
Okay.
Deminin. He says, I am an Ellimist. And that it is his job to protect the galaxy from evil. So they kind of make him sound like a Jedi or something. That's just his job. And there's also they consistently refer to Crayak as Crayak. Cryak.
I'm seeing some complaints about that in the comments here. Well, just one.
I can imagine. They also say that Crayak created the Howlers, the Drode, and the Reddingers. Do we know about this? Is that a thing? Reddingers?
Yeah, this is not a thing.
Okay, they made that up.
Very tempting to say that you don't know about it yet, but
maybe it's the Redingers. I don't know.
When we read The Return for real, we'll find out about the Redingers.
It'll be interesting to compare this fanfic to The Return. I'm sure there's a lot of overlap. And this says that Crayak created the Yeerks, which I don't think is true. And, so he's making up this history not knowing what the Ellimist Chronicles will be. He kind of does a little recap of Andalite Chronicles with Elfangor and Lauren. Another thing that I like, which I don't think is true, but maybe it is. He says that Cassie is actually short for Cassandra.
I mean,
is that
could be
possible? I guess, but they don't ever say that, do they?
Cassie is short for Cassandra, but in the books, no, I don't think they ever say that. Unless I'm misremembering something.
Like, you could just be named Cassie. It's not like it must be a nickname. Yeah.
I guess.
Seems weird. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't see her as a Cassandra.
I've never met a Cassie in real life, so.
Yeah. Much to your chagrin. Another thing I like, he talks about all the Animorphs and he's talking about Rachel. And he says she and Marco would eventually fall in love and get married.
I'm seeing a lot of comments very upset about that one.
I'm loving that. I'm loving that. Anyway, Ellimist realizes this was a mistake, this whole starting the Animorphs thing, because he realizes that Tobias deserved to be raised by Elfangor and Lauren, and this is just sad. and he like messed up the timeline somehow. And then he's like, I must fix it. That could take up to 2.5 years. Until then, I will do the next best thing. I will wait until July 8th, 2000. Then I will start the changes.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
Which book was July of 2000?
I don't know what the fuck that... Well, this was published July 10th, 2000. So I don't know if it was just supposed to be, oh, that's a recent date, it's happening now. Or if that was supposed to be referring to something. I don't know. It's confusing. I don't really understand how the timeline got messed up. The July book, by the way, was The Unexpected. So
maybe that's the one where we found out she's called Cassandra.
Yeah, that must be it. That must have been somewhere in that kangaroo zone. Something. The Ellimist did something.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's not a very good story. Like I said, the part that was interesting to me was just kind of getting a window into the sorts of speculations fans must have had at this time. Which maybe turned out to be true, as far as I know.
I do want to read some of these comments. One of them does have a spoiler in it, so I would recommend not just like looking around in them.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to read some of these. Anili says, it's Crayak, not Crayak, and Rachel falls in love with Tobias, not Marco. Rachel hates Marco and would never marry him. And Ellimist's real name is Tumen. Read that in a program I have that tells about the book, or read that in a program I have that tells about the books. RT Fan says, this is a good story until I got to the part with Marco and Rachel falling in love. Rachel only loves Tobias, and Marco loves me.
Well, now that I could get behind.
Yeah, I get that one there.
Yeah.
El Fangor says, Rachel and Marco? No way, that is a big no-no. Tobias and Rachel are destined to be together. Other than that, it's pretty good. The Ellimist's name isn't Deminin, it's Tumen. Just thought I should mention that. And I believe that Elfangor and Lauren belonged together, and the JC part was good too. I guess that's Jake Cassie.
Jesus Christ? Oh.
It could be, that could be.
Wait, is that person's name El Fangor? Like as if L, like the Spanish for the?
No, it's the letter L, but but it is the letter
like the
L
idea of
Fangor.
El Fangor, like El Nino.
Maybe that's if he was sent back to Mexico instead of America.
Hola, me amo El Fangor.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Thank you.
Sulin says, write a fricking sequel.
It's so funny how many people, I guess this is just a very kid perspective, but to be like, this isn't how it goes. It's fan fiction. Isn't that the whole point? What do you want them to just write a book that already exists?
The number of people who just are so upset that Rachel and Marco are together, and this is very funny to me.
It's funny also because I feel like when we were doing like non-canon pairings and even some of the other fanfics we read, I feel like there were so many Rachel and Marco and Cassie and Axe and Rachel or Cassie or whoever. Like, I don't remember anyone getting mad when maybe because it was specifically a romance fic that the audiences were finding that or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I guess all the shippers came out for this one.
That's right.
They didn't expect it to be. The other ones they knew, like, oh, don't venture into those Marco Rachel spheres. But I wasn't expecting it in my Ellimist fiction.
I was just here for some good old fashioned Tumen doing what he doomin'.
And I didn't even get that. I got Deminin.
Fucking Deminin. I kind of like Deminin. Deminin.
Yeah, good old Deminin.
Deminin. Okay. You have one more? Or two more?
I have two more here.
You have two more. Two men.
Two men every time. Two men. So I'm gonna go to, this is my longest fic that I did. I'm gonna do the Drode Chronicles.
Oh baby. You know I'm excited now.
So this is by Captain Nerefear, who I feel like I recognize that name. Like maybe we've done
Nerefear?
something by them. Well, that's one of the Andalites, but I feel like we've done this
Okay.
writer before.
Interesting.
At any rate, this story is set between books 60 and 61. Now, you might be saying to yourself, there are only 54 books. That is because Nerefear has been continuing the series with their Neomorphs stories. So this is between books 60 and 61. It's not particularly relevant.
Okay.
Although,
what are Neomorphs? Is this a new group of kids or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
I will say this, the prologue gets me pretty interested because it's pretty similar to the Hork-Bajir Chronicles in that the like framing device for the story is that Tobias walks up to like the Drode, and the Drode is like, "No games tonight, Tobias. I'll tell you a story about my life."
What the fuck?
Now, I don't know how we got here in Neomorphs, but somehow this is what's happening.
Holy shit! This is. I know what I'm reading when the series is over.
I have to read through Neomorphs.
This is sick.
God damn. God. So, okay.
I wish I had this one.
There's a lot in this story. This is like the length of an Animorphs book.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of it could probably be skipped over, but all right. So we flash back to the Drode. We find out that the Drode is his game name, and his real name, of course, is Emmaus.
Okay.
He's from a race called the I, like spelled AI.
Okay.
Now, okay, so immediately, like a bunch of different. Okay, we open in like this scene where there's like this dog fight or something with all these ships. And the Drode just comes in out of nowhere and decides to like help one of the sides and blow up one of the other sides, right? Because he's like, call me wild card, and they give him all like these weird. Okay, I had only 5 classes of ships: Zay, Dal, Gim, Be, and Alp. There was a simple system to it. A Dal could hold 13 Zay, and it had room for the pilots to sleep and eat. A Gim had 13 Dal, and so on and so forth. On our planet, we only had 13 Alps. I had a thing for the number 13. But none of that matters. I'm just gonna let you know.
I love it.
But there's a lot of stuff like there in here.
Yeah. Maybe the Drode is a Swiftie.
That could be true. That could be true. Anyway, after jumping into this, he like meets up with the leader of the guys he's fighting with, who's called Saberwing. They're looking for something called like the Source, and they think it's on this mountain. And the Source.
Saberwing? What, is he a Transformer?
It's his game name.
Okay.
Well, I guess this is like the legendary Crayak is the Source. The Source is Crayak, and it's some like legend, right? And so the Drode is like, I shouldn't let you guys get it. So he like kills all of them, including Saberwing, and like fries their ship's computers. And it's a little bit weird here because this is where we start getting references that like everything that's happening here isn't real. It's like in a game. And then the Drode leaves the game to come to the real world, but it feels like the mountain is also in the real world, and we'll get this explained later, but right now it's very confusing, like why the game is like real, right?
Okay.
It's like a whole, listen, whatever. It should be noted that the Drode is the best gamer on all of I.
Hell yeah.
Of course he is. He hangs out with his friend Mularon, I guess. We find out that the Drode is like an orphan, like his mom left when he was really young and his dad died, and he's homeless, and he likes to like trick people into giving him shelter. He's like, "Oh, I'm just a poor orphan." Then he steals all their stuff while they're asleep, right?
Okay.
So he's pretty happy being a homeless orphan. um,
Cool.
yeah, but like we find out a little bit more like Crayak is like their deity and creator, and we also find out there is like an official government team being sent out to look for him again. Um, then we meet or we learn about the Ska, who are some other aliens.
Real big fish.
Right, yes, like them.
Less than Jake.
Exactly, you got it. So they like crash landed here on the planet. And I guess like they have like this advanced spacefaring tech.
Wait a minute. Less than Jake? That's funny.
Oh, that is funny.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go on. Put a pin in that.
No, it's pretty good. But I guess like they have tech and stuff, and the eye don't, and like can't leave the planet, but like the Ska can't leave either because the planet has like weird fields or something. But like the Ska are like the tech masters. They've got like there's only a couple of them, but they've got like super alien tech, right? And the Drode also meets up with Marigold, who is a Ska, and her game name is Marigold, right? So he talks with her in the game, and he goes over to meet her, and he meets up with Marigold's dad. And Marigold's dad is gonna go out on the mission to find Crayak. See, and he's gonna be like their technician. And the Drode convinces him to take Drode along too, so Drode will get to go along on this mission, right?
As a perhaps as an inessential, whatever they called it.
Perhaps. Yeah, like a technician in training or something.
Yeah.
I do like the bit here where he says, I forgot my number one rule. Never trust anyone who reminds you of you.
Well, I'm going to adopt that as my number one rule, too.
It's a pretty good number one rule.
Yeah.
So after that, he spends some time in the slums, and he keeps talking about how like dull and stupid I society is, because I guess it's like all corrupt, and he hates all the like criminals and politicians, and thinks his planet and people are shitty. So the expedition to find the Crayak sets out, and he goes with them as an equipment boy. And this is where we finally get like a description of this game that they were playing. And so I guess this game has like been around for as long as the Eye have, right? Like they used to play it in their dreams or something, but now they can connect computer chips to their heads so they can always play it while they're awake too. And the game seems to be, as far as I can tell, basically an exact replica of the real world, only you get infinite respawns, so you can just kill each other and stuff. Which is why, like, if they found a Crayak mountain in the game, then it might be there in real life. Or something.
What? Those two things don't follow logically from each other.
Listen, there's a game they play. There's games. I mean, I guess, listen.
Games all the way down.
The games are important, and they're here too, of course.
Okay.
We also get a little bit of backstory on I Society. We find out that they've only been around about 3,000 years, and they did all their tech advancement to their modern era, where they're at about human levels from like mud caveman huts. They did that only in about 500 years, and they don't realize that that's kind of strange because they haven't really met anyone from other planets, right? So, but there might be something weird going on with that. I don't know. So as their team's kind of approaching the Crayak Mountain, Drode is like sizing up all of the other Eye and predicting who's going to betray each other and like how he's going to come out ahead. But he forgot about the Ska. He's not thinking about the Ska, right? You know?
Yeah, I forgot about it too.
Well, all right. So, like, at the expedition's going, they're going up the mountain, and slowly but surely, people start disappearing from the expedition because they're all betraying each other and killing each other in secret. There's a bit here where the Drode's like, I don't like killing people in the real world because it's boring, but he starts like manipulating them into killing each other, like getting them to turn against each other. And there's a bit here there's a bit here where one guy dies and everyone thinks it's because, or it's good because the Drode has been teaching him the wrong way to use his equipment, right? So his like breathing equipment, because they're on the mountain, they can't breathe.
He purposely trained him wrong as a joke.
Right. So he figures, that's why this guy died. And everyone's like, oh, somebody murdered him. Whereas the Drode's like, no, he probably just accidentally died. And he's like, so ironic. All the dumbasses, they all thought he was murdered, but I, so smart, thought it was an accident, but I was the one who was wrong. I wonder what's going on here.
That Drode.
Anyway, more and more people start dying from equipment failure, and the Drode realizes, it's Marigold's dad. He's like sabotaging all of them. So one day Drode wakes up and his own air is going. His system's been sabotaged and there's a hole in it, and he can't fix it. So he's like, oh no, I'm gonna have to kill another eye and take his tank. So he strangles one of them to death, and after killing a guy for the first time in the real world, he's like, oh man, killing for real rocks. Why wasn't I doing this before? This is so good. So he goes.
This is good.
It's pretty good. He goes
this is way better than Crayak Chronicles.
Yeah, I'm trying to save the best for last here. We're gonna get better as we go.
Okay.
So the Drode, he goes to confront the Ska here, and the Marigold's dad, and Marigold's dad's like, the reason I tried to kill you is because I don't think I could control you, and I want the Crayak for my own purposes. And but he says, I can't control you, but I can control this thug here. So he just gets a goon to go attack Drode, and the goon is too big, so Drode has to run away. So Drode's out on his own, and he's only got so much air in his tank, so he can only be out here for like 8 hours. And he doesn't manage to get there on his own. He passes out. But then he wakes up and finds that Marigold has come to rescue him, right? Because Marigold, there's like a little undertones of romance vibes maybe with him and Marigold, you see. But yeah, Marigold's like, my father has taken it too far and blah, blah, blah. So they're going, and the Drode realizes that he's like they're not going to have enough air to get there. So he tricks Marigold into like switching tanks with him, so he'll have enough air and she'll stay behind, but then she'll die because she won't have enough, and he feels bad about it, right? He's like, I liked strangling that scientist, but I don't like leaving Marigold to die here, but he does it. And finally he makes it to Crayak's throne, right? So
wow.
he sees this statue of Crayak.
Crayak himself.
He thinks it's just a statue, but then the eye turns to look at him. And the statue splits open, and the Drode walks inside, and he like falls through space and like sees himself orbiting his own planet alongside Crayak.
What?
And Crayak's like, you and me, Drode, we're gonna play a game. So in the game, they each control one city, and the first one to conquer the planet wins, right?
Okay.
So Crayak like is trying to play with brute strength. He's just getting a lot of strong guys, but the Drode he's trying to like manipulate and use diplomacy to like get the other cities to destroy themselves so he can conquer them. And the whole thing escalates, and at the end the Drode ends up playing better, and he beats Crayak at the game, right?
Whoa.
It's pretty good. And Crayak's like, so Drode, how do you feel knowing that all of those were actually real? He like Ender's Games him, right? That was a real game and they all actually died. And the Drode's like, hell yeah, that rules. And then Crayak's like, no, actually that was a lie. That wasn't real. I just wanted to see what you'd say. But anyway, he's like, I like you, Drode. I like the cut of your jib. You seem like a good guy to game with. And then he reveals that he's actually like the Drode's planet. He's in the core of the Drode's planet. And the eye have just like grown up on top of Crayak. And he reveals some backstory about like where he's from and who made him that like ties into the ending of the series in some weird ways that's not really relevant, whatever. But it's like clearly all creative liberties from Neomorphs. But at this point, it's like, okay, Drode, where do you want to go? And Drode's like let's go off and conquer the galaxy for real. I want to play that game for real. And And Crayak's like, okay, and they take off, and taking off kills all the other eye. They all die, and the planet like blows up. And Drode and Crayak go, and that is how Crayak came to try to play the game of conquering galaxies, is because Drode wanted to play that game with him. And that's how he showed up in the Ellimist universe.
Wow.
And then there's no epilogue. We don't get to see Tobias's reaction.
What the fuck? They really dropped the ball on that.
I know, right?
Well, maybe that's in book 61.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that could be in book 61.
So Drode and Tobias are just hanging out in Neomorphs?
I don't know.
I mean, that seems really good. Is it well written or not?
It's not great. By fanfic standards, it's certainly not bad. By 20,000 word standards, I don't think it's very good.
I mean, it sounds, as a Drode fan, as the number one Drode fan,
mm-hmm.
I'm making that statement now. And if anyone would like to challenge me for that crown, come get me.
I think it's like a game. You have to play a game. There's a Drode game.
You have to play it's Civ 5. I like that. That's an actual, that's a chronicle.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
I mean, it does kind of feel like, it's all one location. Like they're on here and then they go up the mountain. That was the one thing that I was having problems with it, is that at a certain point on here, I'm like, this is the length of an Animorphs book. We're still on this mountain. Like, when are we going to zip through time and space? And it was like, we got there.
That's because you're Applegate brained. You can have a more, intimate story about just one location. It's an adventure.
Chronicles? I was promised a chronicle.
Is Visser a fucking chronicle?
Well, it doesn't say chronicles. It is.
Oh, also, so now it's not a chronicle.
We get to see her entire history as she goes through all the different places on Earth, and
yeah,
but that's chronicles.
Just, I guess. Whatever.
It's still pretty good. As a Drode fan, you should consider it, although there's some... I mean, here's the thing. Even if you read the spoiler chapter, I don't think it would mean anything to you or spoil anything for you.
Yeah. It sounds good. I mean, I'm not going to read it, but maybe someday.
When you read through Neomorphs, you can, in between books 60 and 61.
Yes. We will dedicate a podcast to each Neomorphs book.
That's our solemn vow to you.
Imagine if we just didn't acknowledge that the series ended in 54 and the next episode was just book 55.
What is that one called? It's called the prequel or something. Hold on. What are the Neomorphs books called? Oh yeah, the prologue is the first Neomorphs.
Wow.
The
Makes
organization,
sense.
the weapon, the retirement, the revival, the offensive, and then this is where the Drode Chronicles goes. The judgment, the prodigal, and the homecoming. There's more. The liberation, the pact, the hunters, the lost, the redemption, Megamorphs 5, a new foe,
Whoa!
The division, the memories, the lesson, the price, the defender. There's so many. The union.
Holy fuck.
Megamorph 6. Oh, I don't want to say that one. The impending aftermorphs. This is good.
Aftermorphs?
Uh-huh.
Is that one word or two?
Yeah, that's one word.
What the fuck?
This is good.
Okay.
We might have to do this.
Who's this? What's this person's name again?
This is Captain Nerefir.
Well, good for them.
Capnnerefir.
Okay, well that was great. We should keep going.
There's a Neopedia too that looks like it might be their own official site.
We really should. Maybe Neomorphs has to do with what Tobias is the one.
Mm-hmm. It might have a little bit to do with that.
Okay. We need to move on.
Okay,
we don't want this episode to be too long.
It might be too long.
No, but we don't want it to be too long.
Do your next.
I'm going to do next. I'm going to do Between Good and Evil.
Okay.
This is a weird one. In fact, it says right in the beginning, here's a newer fanfic. It's really weird, though. I'm warning you. Part 2 is currently being written. Don't worry, they never finished it. This was written by Hillary.
Okay.
Which I'm thinking maybe it's Clinton?
I'm 14. I've been writing fanfic since I was 10, and I have no time to write a profile right now.
Okay.
That's the profile.
So Between Good and Evil, this is a pretty long one. This is the longest one that I read.
Oh yeah, this is long. This is almost as long as the Drode Chronicles.
Yes, it's quite lengthy, and it has a weird font and formatting. I don't know what's going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
But the story begins, and you're introduced to two characters, Jay Parker and Patrick. I don't know Patrick's last name. Jay and
Star?
Patrick. I think so. Yes. And they're friends.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit of what I would call the writer's barely disguised fetish in this story.
A classic.
Just, there's a lot of references, like right away, the descriptions of these characters. Let's just keep it, let's try to not go too crazy here. They're 14 years old, but
it says PG-13, so I don't see how it could be a problem.
Sure. But it's just like, he had dark brown eyes. Some of his friends said they looked like puppy dog eyes, which he hated. This is a teenage girl writing about boys, you know?
Sure. I mean, I don't know that having a heterosexual crush is what I would call a fetish.
Well, listen, I'm still going.
Okay.
I'm not there yet.
I'll withhold judgment.
Well, then there's a lot of talk about Patrick, who Jay calls him Patty.
Okay.
So you would call a homosexual crush a fetish? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
Okay. That was
I might be saying that.
Right, you're not denying.
But I didn't say it.
Right, correct. Okay. Patrick also had brown hair, but lighter, with a kind of red tint, and messy. He was, this is a great sentence, he was part Irish, his mother being a native of Ireland. That's how that works.
That's pretty good.
Jay loved her accent and knew Patrick also had a hint of that accent in his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick sometimes wore glasses, but he was one of those people who managed to look good in their glasses. There's so much of this shit. Like, it's like you're reading Twilight or something about it's like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, the whole beginning of this is they run into Jay's ex-girlfriend, Anna, who's like the hottest girl in the school, but she's also really mean, and they broke up and now they hate each other. And Anna is teasing this other girl named Allie, who's like geeky. And they're just, they're describing everyone's outfits and hair and all this shit. And Jay and Patrick intervene. It's going on for so long that I actually scrolled back up to make sure I was reading an Animorphs fanfiction. And finally, the assistant principal comes out, and it's Chapman. I'm like, okay.
Oh my god, this is all on one page. Like, there's
yes, this is not
split
up.
Other chapters.
No, it is all one big chunk. So Chapman's here, and I'm like, all right, so we're in the Animorphs school. So I guess they're gonna meet the Animorphs or something. I mean, the description of it told me that Ellimist and Crayak are involved somehow. So maybe that's going to happen. But we have a lot to go before then. They walk Allie home. Allie says she lives in basically like the shitty part of town. And Jay is like, or I don't know which one of them. One of them is in love with Allie now. And the other one's like, geez, dude. She's just a girl. Let it go. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even like her. It's not even my type. Except they're like, but her eyes, they're so piercing and beautiful and hypnotic. All this shit. I don't even, you have to like the scrolls. They introduce then so many other characters that are not Animorphs. You meet Brian, who is this guy from Germany, but he's not from Germany. He's lived on an Air Force base and his parents are American, but he didn't grow up in the United States.
How many of these people do you think are like real classmates of hers, and how many of these people do you think like she just was constantly like making up boys to write stories about and wanted to put them all in her story?
Yeah, it's probably mostly the latter, but it may be some column A, column B. I think. Yeah, it's kind of like Tina Belcher fan fiction from Bob's Burgers. In between all this stuff, we get these weird in italics premonitions or their dream sequences where the characters start having dreams and hearing names and seeing weird things and hearing about a traitor and they don't know what's going on. Finally, eventually one of them actually mentions Crayak and I'm like, oh my God, Crayak's here at last.
Finally.
There's so much just of them just talking about their high school relationships and romances, or I guess it's middle school. I don't know what it is. Eventually, again, it's like halfway through the story or something. I'm trying to find it again. When the Ellimist actually shows up and talks to them, and the Ellimist introduces himself, and he's like, "I need your help," and he's like, "You have to help me." It's very unclear. For A, what does he actually need them to do? B,
help.
Where the Animorphs are.
Maybe they're the Animorphs.
It's implied that somehow this is like a loophole that the Ellimist has figured out, oh, I can use these kids because they're not part of the game or something. But either it's not explained or I just skimmed over it because I just was like, what the fuck? I couldn't take all of this in exactly.
You have to read thoroughly, John.
Well, we find out, here's the twist. Allie is actually a puppet of Crayak. She's a bad guy.
Ooh.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, at no point is it clear to me why Crayak would want Allie to do anything for him. Like, she's there to fuck with these other kids, but I don't know why he cares about any of these kids. It's very confusing.
This feels like one of those, like, I'm in school and my group of friends is the most important thing in the world. It's like what happens to us at school. Except
they don't even try to justify it. They just are. Just the Animorphs are, so why not us too? We're also a group of teenagers. Same thing. They do mention the Drode. The Drode gets a name drop in here. And then the Ellimist is like, okay, you can help me, but before you agree to it, I want to give you a vision of what the world will look like if you don't help me.
Oh, so it's just book 7 again.
Yeah. And then there's like a third of the story is them in this alternate future where everything is shitty and destroyed. And they're like, and they go to the Hork-Bajir Valley. They meet Beck.
Beck. Yes. I don't have any Beck in my stories.
Yeah. So there's something for you. You get a little Beck in there. What does Beck do, really? I don't know. It just kind of explains what the Hork-Bajir are. And there's like at least 2 or 3 times when the main character passes out and wakes up, and then every other character explains what they missed in the last few hours. It like happens twice in a row. It's not the most compelling form of writing. And it goes on for so long until finally the Ellimist is like, okay, you figured it out, you saw it, okay. Now you're all gonna vote on whether or not you're gonna help me. And this was my favorite part because actually I can't remember because I can't find it. It might have been the other story, but one of these stories has the group voting on something, and then they say, well, it looks like it was anonymous. instead of unanimous.
Oh. I literally didn't know what you meant.
Yeah, out of context.
I'm glad you clarified. Yeah,
I had to explain.
There, like, what?
It looks like it's anonymous. And then at the end, so they all agree they're gonna help. I think that Brian ends up betraying them. He like meets. That's the traitor that they've been hearing about. Yeah, he decides to work for Crayak and Alyssa, and they're all excited. And Crayak's like, don't rush things, Brian. You must train first. Alyssa is the best I have. She will be your mentor, but you will be ready. Soon, you will be ready. What will he be ready for? I don't know, and we will never know because there's no more. It's just, yeah. Got any comments for me?
Well, okay, so TabbyCat2000 says, spooky, but way cool. I was hoping that maybe at some point it would become clear what was spooky, but I don't think it did to me. Do you think you could clarify to me why it's spooky?
There's a bunch of, I guess there's a lot of Allie or Allison, she says she prefers to, or Alyssa, sorry, she prefers to be called. Like, I don't know, being kind of creepy, and I think she has a knife and does some spooky shit. I don't know. Best I got.
Allie says, that had to be one of the best stories that aren't based on the Animorphs, but another group of kids ever written.
Not like just an Animorphs fan fiction. Any group of kids.
Discounting the Animorphs books, this is the best story about a group of kids.
Obviously, that's number one.
Right. Obviously, this one.
I will say, like, you know, I mentioned the flaws, but it's like written fairly competently. It's like, you know, grammatically at least, it all kind of, it's not painful to read. It's just so nonsensical. And like, what's the point of this? Like, why am I supposed to care? And how does this fit into the Animorphs series? I have no idea. But I don't know.
Realized something. I didn't know this. After each of the names in the comments, it gives the rating they gave to this. So I could have been giving ratings to all these.
Wow.
Dang. Well, everybody on this gave it a 9 or a 10, except for Anna Girl, who gave it a 1 and said the whole thing was irrelevant to Crayak and Ellimist.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
Hillary commented on her own and gave it a 9 and said, I'm not really sure if it deserves a 9, but what kind of weirdo would give themselves a 5?
Do you have to comment to review it, maybe? Well, they are reviews. Yeah. We're calling them comments, but they are called reviews on fanfiction.net.
Yes, they are reviews.
Even though, I mean, I'm looking at them. I don't see the star rating. Where does it show that?
It's not a star. It's literally a number. So it'll say like Alley 9, Battlecry 10 on mine.
Huh. I don't even, maybe, am I ad blocking that or something? I don't see that.
No, except here's the thing. I'm looking at it on a different story and I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm confused. What the hell is this? I don't know. Somebody who knows anything about fanfiction.net, tell us what's going on.
Or don't. So that's between good and evil. A true Crayak and Ellimist story. No other annoying Animorphs characters to get in the way.
Yeah, we didn't need any of those losers.
You'd think they might run into them at school. Maybe this is before the Animorphs. Maybe these kids are older or younger, you know? Maybe this is when the Animorphs are still in like 4th grade and the Crayak and the Ellimist just were trying these guys out for fun.
Yeah. Could be. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah, it's whatever you want.
It's whatever you want. Well, I guess for my story, I want to do, so this is called Sing the Azures. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think this is my favorite of the ones that I read.
Okay, good.
So it's only about half the length of the Drode Chronicles here.
Good.
All right. So this opens up if you remember at the end of the Ellimist Chronicles, the Ellimist, like, remember he goes into the black hole and he discovers that he has time powers, right? But in this point, when he discovers he has time powers, his first thought isn't to go fight Crayak, or that Crayak will join him. This time, his first thought is that he could go back in time and save his people, instead of turning into the Ellimist. Right.
Okay.
So, but he's like, oh, if I do that, if I turn myself back into a Ketran, and change the timeline, then, like, I won't have my Ellimist power, so I better make myself a time matrix just in case. Right.
Good backup plan.
Right. So the prologue of this explains why the time matrix exists. It exists. He made it so that he could undo this if something should go wrong.
If it were me, I would go back in time and kill baby Crayak.
Well, but Ellimist is nicer. He just wants to save his species, you see.
Sure.
Sure. The way you said that, you sound very...
No, I fully support it.
All right. So that's the prologue. We get our first bit here. It's from Tumin's perspective, and we return to the part of the Ellimist Chronicles where he's in charge of the Explorer, right? And they're going around looking for a new home. I guess the idea is that the Ketrans were always peaceful, so fighting off the Capucins wasn't really doable, I guess.
Okay, sure.
But anyway, we're back on the Explorer, and we're looking for Ket, and he's like, oh, goddamn, it feels like I've been gone for centuries, but I've been here the whole time, because now he's just back to being Tumin, and he can sort of forget that he was the Ellimist. We get some stuff going on the ship, only this time, because he has his experience, he's like, you know what? Menna was always right. We should have adapted. We shouldn't have, we shouldn't have just held out for another Ket. There is no other Ket. I know that now, so we need to adapt and settle down. Also, I think he and Aguela might fuck at the end of this chapter, or at the end of this chapter, like right around here.
Hell yeah.
There's a part where Aguela says, when he first comes back into his body and looks at Aguela, she says, "We've been paired for a long time, Tumin. I'm fairly well attuned to your moans. That's the strongest reaction you've had to me since that time we almost died at Hennex 3.
I love that. Is there a name for that trope when they do that, like, callback to a thing that you didn't see? Because I love that.
It is really good. There's also a bit here, because in the book they keep calling eyes orbs whenever he was a Ketran in the Ellimist Chronicles. So there's a part here where he says, "Oh, what it was to have orbs again."
That's good. That's good.
So the next chapter is from Crayak's point of view.
Whoa!
And in this one we find out his backstory. In this, he's from the galaxy Fana, and the species that kicked him out was called the Nosins.
Nosins.
Well, it was like Gnosan, so it's like Gnosis or something. But there's like a little bit in here where a servant comes to like serve him a meal, but then instead of eating the meal, he eats the servant instead. He like picks his teeth with his bones. It's pretty good.
He does a Jabba the Hutt.
That's right. He does a Jabba the Hutt. But he's out here in the galaxy where he's supposed to run into Ellimist, and he's like, this galaxy seems kind of boring. Like, nobody here is strong enough to play against me, right? Like, this sucks, right? Nobody's going to play against me. But then he does a scan, and he sees the lines of power of the time matrix coming from some planet somewhere. And he's like, holy shit, right? What the fuck is that? I want that thing. What is it? Oh, man. Because he doesn't know, right? He hasn't ascended to... He's never met the Ellimist. So then we go to the next chapter, and we're back to Tumin's point of view here. And so now, right, we've skipped ahead, and they've settled in on this planet, right, with like colorful trees. I guess they make nests now, and there's a bunch of discussions about like biology and like the ways in which their children are different, and discussions on like whether they still want to keep their pods and blah blah blah. part of the reason they're here is because the trees are so colorful, and all that. I guess they were like, oh yeah, it turns out we have a big thing about color. There's a good bit where he says like when they initially talked to the generationals, they had a diplomatic hang up where several generational ships crashed because they could not differentiate between the 13 hues of green we used as navigational signals.
That's good.
But yes, so he is raising a family here with Aguela. So he has two children, Donata and Forza. I don't know.
Horizon?
Yeah, basically. Oh, and also, importantly, the Ellimist pretends to have invented the adge. So if you remember the musical, he's got an adge here. So he's retired. So Menno is now in charge. The planet that they're on, that's run by like a Ketran democracy, and Tumen is retired and spends his time giving music lessons to young Ketrans. And he does a lot of like reflecting on the value of art. And he's like, oh, in old Ketran society, people wouldn't have been able to like make some of these physical pieces because they would have just been considered drag. But now that we live on the ground, we can, and some of the oldsters think that people shouldn't be like making pictures and sculptures, but I want to foster artistic growth and blah, blah, blah. It's pretty good. There's a lot of it and it's all a lot of fun. Next chapter, we go to Menno's point of view.
Everyone's favorite, next to Inadar, Menno.
Everyone's favorite, yeah. So Menno is in charge, and a Ketran named Compta comes to him, and she reveals that some of the Juvies are practicing fighting. And Menno's like, what the hell? They're not. We're all pacifists. And Compta's like, Tumen's the one who's encouraging them. Tumen's teaching them to fight each other. And Menno's like, that Tumen, what's he doing? He's been being so weird, like for the longest time now. He doesn't act like himself. What's going on with him? I don't know if this tracks with the book because like they did become warlike in space, but like I guess they could have resumed their pacifism, and Menno could be upset about it again, right?
Sure, why not?
Why not? Anyway, Menno's like, bring Tumen to me. Go, send out a squad of, because the females are larger. It's like, send out a squad of like female enforcers to go take Tumen in. So the next chapter we go to Tumen again, and he gets captured and is brought to trial. And all the Juvies are like, we weren't fighting, we were just doing dances, nobody was actually fighting or whatever, and blah, 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 and Tumen didn't do anything wrong, and it's looking pretty good for Tumen. And that's when, twist, the real Compta's body gets brought into the council. And Compta reveals herself, and she's like, ha ha ha, my master Crayak thought that maybe I could trick them into getting you, Tumen, but I guess I'll just have to do it myself, ha ha ha. It's a good twist. And now, it doesn't say that Compta is the Drode in disguise, but I think we can be fairly certain Compta is the Drode in disguise.
That was my first assumption, when you said that.
Like, how could it not be?
My Drode Dar went off.
Yeah, I mean, the Drode Dar is ringing. So then the last chapter here is called Ellimist. We're back to Tumen's perspective, and he's thinking of himself as the Ellimist, and he's like, oh, fuck, now I have to remember I'm the Ellimist. I'd almost forgotten that I used to be the Ellimist, but now I have to remember it again. And he's like, oh, Compta Crayak would regret doing this. In another timeline, I'm like a power that can rival him, and if he destroys me here, he won't have anyone to play against him, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, Compta gets taken over by Crayak, and Crayak starts talking to him directly. And Crayak's like, you know what, if you really are such a great rival, then it would be good to beat you. So, like, go fuck yourself. Take me to that thing, the time matrix thing. He doesn't know what it is, but take me to that thing. So, Ellimist goes there. He leads Crayak to the time matrix, and Crayak's about to betray him and shoot him, but Ellimist grabs the time matrix first, and he uses it to restore the old timeline, and bring everything back to that point in the book. So it all goes back to the way that it was in the Ellimist Chronicles. They also reveal that he doesn't destroy the time matrix because he literally can't, because he made it indestructible. I don't know why he can't, but for some reason he can't. So it's just here now forever.
So what you're telling me after this summary of this story that went on for about 10 minutes is that every single thing gets completely undone and doesn't matter?
Yeah, the thing that I'm always complaining about, yeah.
And this was your favorite of the ones you picked?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it's hard to tell from just a summary, but like I think that it is reasonably well written, and the points where Ellimist is just kind of like sitting around on New Ket and like musing are like they're like fairly creative. There's a lot of fun, cool things going in there, and I don't know, it's very fun and entertaining just to kind of like sit around and think about New Ket. It's also fun and entertaining to watch Crayak eat a, you know what I mean, eat a servant and do all that.
Yeah,
the little perspective switches. It's all fun. Oh, we also find out here that Crayak's race is called the Glindath. That's his species.
Okay, that's okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's a Glindath.
I mean, we are starved for Crayak Ellimist content.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who's willing to give that to us, we're gonna eat it up.
Yeah, I like it, and I do
especially
like
Crayak.
That it at least tries to explain why the hell there's a time matrix.
Yeah, because that never comes up in the books.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter that there is.
Do they say who made it? They don't say the Ellimist made it or something?
The Andalites have a legend that the Ellimist made it.
Okay.
I think that's all we get.
I buy it. It's a true legend.
Yeah.
Well, but Tumen remembers this experience and can learn and grow from it, right?
That's true. Tumen does remember this experience.
So that's something. I'm seeing also in the author's note at the end of this that says while writing this story, they also came up with a kick-ass backstory for Crayak. And if the Crayak Chronicles are something you guys would be interested in reading, maybe mention it in a review of this or PM me about it.
I didn't.
So did they do it? Look at their works.
So the works that came out, unless am I getting this? Yeah, the works that came out after this is
by Wandering Aesthetic.
I don't know what the hell this is. Some romance angst thing that I don't know what it is. Here's
nobody PM'd them.
Here's a Harry Potter fanfic. Here's another There's 2 Harry Potter fanfics and one that I can't tell what it is, but it might be Harry Potter.
Nobody persuaded them.
Yeah.
They didn't want the Crayak Chronicles.
Nobody
we could have got
the
more.
Crayak Chronicles. Nobody wanted it. Wargish Boromir fan.
Hell yeah.
Says, I love the culture class here. The species is adapting to a new home, but the mindset of the elders hasn't changed all that much. And then there's Crayak, trolling your galaxy and poning your dudes. This could get dangerous.
Yeah, it could and it did.
It's true.
Dangerous stuff in there.
All right. Anyway, that was mine. I liked it. It was fun. Oh, yeah. Wandering Aesthetic had some kind of... Yeah, their whole profile is this treatise on, like, I used to be ashamed of reading and writing fan fiction. I wouldn't tell anyone I knew in real life that I enjoyed it, or if I did, I'd write it off as a guilty pleasure. These days, I think it holds an important place in the world of fiction. It's like 3 paragraphs of this.
They should have stuck to their guns originally. They should be definitely ashamed. It does not hold an important place in the world of fiction. I'm gonna make that declaration right now.
And you know, John, you get to spend more time with those characters you obsessed over. You can squee.
Only squee I'm interested in is written by Jonan Vasquez.
What's your next story?
He wrote that comic. Excuse me. Okay, well, in the interest of finishing this up, let's end this podcast soon. Unlike you, I won't take 25 minutes to analyze my fanfic.
I'm not analyzing it. I'm just talking about it.
Well, I just think everyone fell asleep while you were reading that. It was so long.
I wasn't justifying myself. I'm just correcting you.
Okay, fine. Fine. You weren't analyzing it. You were just regurgitating. All right. This one's okay.
I'm vomiting all over the mic. Give me an okay.
This is the last one. The last one is called Only in a Dream. This is another one that's only tangentially the Ellimist. The Ellimist and Crayak set this in motion.
This is by Fighty888.
Okay, what did they do?
I feel like we may have seen their fics before, but also that was one of the screen names from Web Access America. All right, I'm over it. You can keep going.
Great. So yes, Fighty888 did indeed write this. Again, it's called Only in a Dream. And the premise of this one is the Animorphs are hanging out. The Ellimist shows up and says, "Hey, check this out, fellas. We got a new thing coming at you. There's going to be a new Crayak and I have come up with a challenge for you." And I love that he's just like, this is just how it is. You're going to have to deal with this now.
Wait, I'm reading this deal.
Yes, an evil being is going to appear, and if you are able to defeat them, the Yeerks will be disabled for a period of time. If you lose, then the Crayak will make them stronger again for a short time. So they're just like playing a board game, or they just have a little back and forth. Like, oh, if I win, I get this card that makes them a little stronger for one round.
Just gonna like buff or debuff them for the next week.
Yeah, that's right. But he won't tell them who or what this challenger is, or when they're coming. He does refer to them as a she. But other than that, they're just kind of like a lot of the story is them waiting around being like, "Oh, what the fuck do we do? This is annoying. I don't know when they're coming. I wish they would just come already."
That's pretty good. I thought, the evil being might show up and they might do stuff. I kind of like that they just sit around and not. I bet it's Melissa. That's my bet.
Good guess. Okay. Good guess.
Thank you.
Well, we also get some scenes of Visser 3, who apparently Visser 3, some sub-Visser has brought him a stone that will enhance their shredders or their Dracon beams. I mean,
this is a kyber crystal.
Yeah, so I guess this is the thing that will enhance them if they don't defeat the enemy. It doesn't seem to be directly related. It's not like they're fighting a creature who created the stone or something. This is just also happening.
So the stone just increases the power of their shredders?
Dracon beams, please.
Or Dracon beams, yeah.
You copied my mistake.
I did, yeah.
Something like that. I don't remember.
I feel like if you get shot with a Dracon beam, you get your limb burned off and or dead anyway.
True. Yeah, this is there's a later chapter where they test it on a taxon, and it's like it just instantly they just disintegrate in like a second, or like it's way faster than a Dracon beam. I don't know.
I don't know that this is much better. This feels like they were trying to just put a video game upgrade. They do more damage now, and it doesn't really work in real life.
Oh, look, this is their buff. This is the temporary buff. I don't know. Then we start getting some chapters that are narrated by... Each chapter has a different narrator, like Megamorphs, and some of them are unknown.
Whoa.
And so this is the she, and she's like, "I'm awake. The stone must have been found," and she's laughing and she's all excited, and she's talking about the world around her and making these vague allusions to things from her past that you don't really understand what she's talking about yet.
Is this like Rita Repulsa after 10,000 years?
That's right. And then at the end of her first chapter, it says, "Suddenly, out of nowhere, a creature that looked half prune, half human appeared. I have a proposition for you." That's right. This is a secret Drode fanfic episode. Okay, they're all waiting around, whatever, blah blah blah. Like I said, they do this thing with where they destroy this taxon. You keep hearing more about this mysterious person. She makes a deal with the Drode, with Crayak through the Drode, that if she is able to kill all the Animorphs, then like she'll get anything that she wants. But there's also some weird thing where it's like, oh, if you kill at least one of them and then you die, then it'll be reversed and they'll be reversed and you'll wake up, but only you will remember what happened. I don't know. It's like very confusing. I don't understand the parameters of this deal. It's kind of important to the story, to be honest, but it's just not. I don't really fully understand it.
It sounds like they wanted an out, but they couldn't figure out how to write it, so that they made a Deus Ex Machina, which was they made a deal that if the story goes exactly the way that I want the story to go, then it'll get undone.
Yes, it's kind of like a fairy tale logic, like a Sleeping Beauty or something, where it's like, oh, but if the princess should wake on the 15th day, or I don't know, it's one of those kind of weird things.
I see.
So then she starts going after the Animorphs, and she's all like, she's being scary and creepy. She also starts talking about how she's going to be reunited with somebody that she's excited to be reunited with after her long slumber. We find out that her name is Cassandra. So it's not Cassie.
I don't know. This sounds like maybe Cassie lived for 1,000,000 years and then got sent back in time and became evil, and now she wants to get back with Jake. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, good guess. We'll see if you're right. You have two guesses so far. Maybe one of them's right.
Third one's the charm.
Anyway, they start fighting. Eventually she goes after Marco, and she turns out has hypnotic powers and uses him, like turns him against them, and they start fighting Marco, and they think that they kill him, but she's like, haha, they think he's dead, but he's not, and I'm tricking them, and I don't know, all this stuff. Eventually, finally, the Ellimist shows up again and talks to the Animorphs, and he's like, you may ask me 4 questions.
Thanks, Ellimist.
Yes, that's the rule. And first they say, what is her weakness? And he's like, I can't answer that one.
You're supposed to say that up front, Ellimist.
Yeah. He's like, that would make it unfair. You must ask other questions. They ask like, oh, where did she come from and what is she? Here it is, the big reveal.
All right, let's hear it.
Which, if you had been reading the story closely, maybe you could have figured this out ahead of time. But it turns out that what Cassandra is a vampire.
That's kind of boring.
So that's why she's been asleep for all these years, like in a coffin, basically. And she has hypnotic powers because she's a vampire, and she can also turn into animals, just like them.
How many ants? Did you like my joke there?
What was your joke?
You didn't acknowledge it when I coughed.
I didn't. I just thought you were coughing.
Because you said coffin.
Oh,
you didn't acknowledge it, so I just wanted to make sure you would acknowledge it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get it, to be honest, so I'm glad that you went back to it.
You're welcome. So she doesn't... You said animals. Like, presumably not just a bat, maybe also like a rat and a cat.
I think she turns into a wolf
and
in this. Yeah, I don't remember. The Ellimist specifies she can transform into 1 or 2 animals. So he doesn't even know. The Animorphs come up with some plan where they're like, we need to find her base where she came from, and for some reason they're like, hey, she gets Marco at some point when they realize he's alive or something. And then they're like, we want Marco back, we'll trade you Marco for Tobias.
It's not too late for this to be Cassie gone back in time.
No, it's not too late. They do this trade for some reason, and Cassandra has Tobias as a hostage now. I don't know what their plan was. I don't remember. And she starts talking to Tobias about how I don't really want to do this. The Drode forced me because he said the Crayak would kill me otherwise, and then she starts feeling bad for them, and she lets Tobias go. It turns out there's some guy named Damon, I think, who's like Cassandra's long lost love that she wants to be reunited with. And that's why she's doing all of this. And she comes up with, she ends up like refusing the deal. She does not do what the Drode wants her to do. And somehow they find some loophole because of that shit I said earlier, and they win. But she has to go. Oh yeah, and it turns out the explanation of the whole thing. 5 years ago, she trusted a human being. He betrayed her, and they locked her in a tomb-like pit. When she ate a rat to keep herself from dying, it poisoned her into a sleep. She wouldn't have woken up even without the stone Visser 3 had. I made a deal that if she refused to help Crayak, that he would give her whatever she wanted, even if it meant death. So Ellimist had a secret deal with Crayak that she didn't know about, that if she turned out to be a good guy, like then she wins. Also, in the meantime, the Yeerks just don't know how this stone can work anymore. They don't understand it, so that solves that problem.
But do they get debuffed, or they just don't? It feels like that's where they started.
Yes, well, as the Ellimist says, you have defeated Crayak. The Yeerks will be disabled for a time, as Visser 3 is still trying to figure out how to use the stone. So I guess the debuff is just that they're preoccupied, but I guess in a few weeks maybe they will figure it out. I don't know.
Or give up or something.
Yeah, maybe they'll just give up. Yeah, and that's that. Cassandra disappears, and I guess she goes back to Damon or something. There is another story that Fighty wrote after this, which is says Cassandra returns. It's a sequel. I did not read that one.
Oh, I have well, it's not a blue link because the links start off blue, but I have a purple link here.
So which one of these did we read?
A new player. Maybe I didn't actually read it. Maybe I just looked at it.
No, this sounds right. Maybe because it's a new Animorph story, so maybe we did it in that first episode.
Whatever, I don't care.
Anyway, clearly this author must have been into either Buffy or Twilight or both. Maybe it's probably too early for Twilight, actually. Or maybe Anne Rice or some shit. It could be that, but they got a vampire thing. And I actually kind of like there's so much sci-fi shit in Animorphs. It's kind of fun to have just a supernatural element.
Right. Well, you're the one who is begging for magic in the series, so.
Yes. Well, it is in there, just not in name. But yeah. So I kind of like that aspect of it. I mean, the character of Cassandra's whatever. It feels very out of place with the rest of it, but
I mean, that's the good thing about the Ellimist and Crayak is that you can kind of use them to insert whatever story element you want into your story.
Well, but the thing that's strange about it, though, is it's not that the Ellimist or Crayak created Cassandra. Vampires are real in this universe. They just woke her up and told her to go get the Animorphs. But we now know that there are vampires.
Procyon says, trippy colors, cool fic. Really one of those inspirationals. And not a ripoff fic like reviewer size hates admitting to her own faults. So many others.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I have to correct the record. This was the story where they say, well, I guess it's anonymous.
Jade says, wow, blink. That was just runs out of the room crying. 10, 10, 10, 10.
Yeah. I mean, again, as fanfics go, written by teenagers, It's one of the better ones. It's got to be in the top 10%.
Mad Cow says, very, very good. I liked it. All of the Animorphs were very much in character, and I loved the way you portrayed Visser 3. I also liked how you only gave us little bits and pieces about Cassandra. I was on the edge of my seat. However, if you ever do a rewrite, perhaps you could make the battle about the movie entrance in a little more detail? I don't know what that means. And also, it seemed like Cassandra was out of character in the end. From experience, even good people are wary after they've been betrayed. By the way, have you ever read In the Forest of the Night? Wonderful vampire book.
Wow, Patreon.
The reviews are raving.
Okay. That's our fanfics. Any overall lessons, things you've taken away from Ellimist Crayak fanfiction?
Fanfiction sucks. Are we done with it yet?
We're almost done, yeah.
I thought you were going to say we're only getting started.
Oh, we're only getting started.
Yeah. There's so much more fanfiction to be explored.
Yeah.
I feel like, and maybe this is because you picked earlier stuff, and that's just how it goes. I feel like a lot more of yours were like, how do we use Ellimist Crayak to insert idea into Animorph storyline, and I kind of focused more in on what's a offshoot of the Ellimist Chronicles you can do with Ellimist and Crayak.
Yeah. Which both are interesting. Yours, that angle is more. Once you know more about the Ellimist and Crayak, you can do that.
And I don't some of that might just be our own individual preferences, but I do think some of that might also have just come from, because I feel like I saw a lot more of that than what you were doing.
I definitely think you did. Most of mine were more on that side of things.
Okay.
Because that was more how you knew them. And also, to do pre-Ellimist Chronicles, even post-Ellimist Chronicles, to write an Ellimist or Crayak story, you kind of just have to make 90% of it up. You just don't know most of the shit about them, especially Crayak or the Drode. But if you're like, oh, they did a thing in Animorphs, then, you know the basic building blocks of what the Animorphs do. So it's a little bit easier.
Can we expect an erotic Crayak Ellimist story out of you? Maybe featuring the Drode at any point in the near future.
Yeah, I think there might be a love triangle there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a little teaser for the listeners.
If there are two male characters who have any kind of relationship, the audiences will want them to fuck. That's what I've learned. You can get rid of the word male, honestly. It doesn't matter what they are.
I was gonna say, have we gotten those emails yet?
Which emails?
Maybe we didn't read them on the show.
About wanting to fuck them?
Well, because we're two male characters.
Oh. I've written a few. You refuse to read them.
Maybe we'll release them on the Patreon.
That could be. Well, on the Patreon this week, we are going to be doing more fan fiction. That one's going to be an interesting one because we're going to be focusing exclusively on poetry and or songs. Verse written by fans, inspired by Animorphs. Yeah, so it's a very different kind of a thing. And the only place to get it is at patreon.com/theyerkyboys for $5. Plus, you get all our bonus episodes and full-length parody songs.
Wow, that sounds like a good deal.
It is.
I don't know if I could go another 3 days without hearing some Animorphs fanfic poetry.
Lucky for you.
And I don't think you can either, listeners.
You can also email us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com, if you have a thought or a question or a correction, something about Resident Evil that I said or didn't say.
Oh, yeah.
And you can follow me online, jonathanestis.com, for my other projects, if you'd like.
Yeah, don't follow me. We're back to regular books after this, are we not?
Yes, we are officially next week. We are getting back into the final stretch of the series, so get ready. Read that book, which you will announce at the end of this episode in about 10 seconds.
Hold on to your hats, because it's gonna be we're in for a wild ride coming up. But thanks for listening to us, everyone. Tune in next week when we will be reading book 48, The Return, in which Rachel turns into a monster on the Yerky Boys.